When it comes to ASTRAEOS, base locations are everywhere, but what are the best spots? Well, that's why I bring you top 50 best base locations on ASTRAEOS. Coming at number 50, this can be found at 55.1 latitude and 39.2 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this can be found underwater, and this is one of the clamshells. I'm mainly just going to be showing this one just because this is a better kind of clamshell. It has a lot more surface area in here, well, underwater area if you would say. But it has a lot more room to build stuff. It's just a little bit awkward because it's not as flat, but still isn't a terrible spot to live if you're looking for an underwater base. This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a kava and kratom seltzer company which provides an alternative to alcohol. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being tropical. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code OUTCAST and you will get 25% off your entire order. If you're looking for a great alternative to coffee or just a way to get you going in the morning, Mitra is definitely the way to go. Now, back to the video. Coming at number 49, this can be found at 46.1 latitude and 67.5 longitude, and then there it is on the map. Now this can be found on one of the little island kind of like areas, and this is just more of just a really big flat area that has a lot of room. It's in a pretty good central spot and you're really close to the volcano, making for a pretty good base spot. Coming at number 48, this can be found at 51.5 latitude and 45.3 longitude, and this is another underwater spot. This is another clam. It's pretty much the exact same thing as that other clam, except this has an entire back area in here. So it's even bigger than that last clam, which is why I put it on this list as well. Coming at number 47, this can be found at 22.5 latitude and 7.6 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is a small little island for a smaller tribe looking to just kind of build in a just like okay kind of spot. It has a little bit of some ruins on here as well as just some nice little pathways. It's nothing too crazy, but I personally like it as it's just a really small little base for a small tribe. Coming at number 46, this can be found at 57.4 latitude and 14.9 longitude. Then there it is on the map. And this can be found over on one of the actual beach spawns. It's pretty much right next to it. And this is just a nice little kind of cave for a medium-sized tribe that's looking to build a little bit more hidden, but still, you know, kind of out there. But you're pretty close to a lot of resources as well. Coming at number 45, this can be found at 37.8 latitude and 17.2 longitude. And then there it is on the map. Now this is another kind of cave little thing. Now this is more of like a PVE cave. It's really, really big. Well, by really big, I mean it's got big entrances, but it has a lot of area in here as well. But it is really cool, and it's just more of like a PVE kind of like aesthetic to it, making for a good spot. Coming at number 44, this can be found at 23.3 latitude and 6.0 longitude. And then again, there it is on the map. Now this is another kind of little island similar to that other one, except this one does have a little bit more like structure to it. It's another small island, so again, it's for a small tribe, like a solo, duo, or like a trio. Be a great little spot for them. Coming at number 43, this can be found at 7.4 latitude and 19.7 longitude. Then there it is on the map. This can be found over here in the darker region of the map, I think Faux something, I forget the name. Anyways, it's a nice little like peninsula, oh my god, cannot say that. It's got a lot of room and a ton of flat room as well, making for a pretty decent spot, and it also has a nice little entrance right over here. So yeah, personally I like this spot quite a bit. Coming at number 42, this can be found at 27.7 latitude and 46.1 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this can be found over here, and it's more of like a little canyon, just aesthetically pleasing area. I do like this spot quite a bit, as well as a good amount of flat room, and you have some water near you, as well as metal and crystal right above you. It's a pretty decent spot, but you know, it's nothing too crazy, but I personally like this spot a lot. Coming at number 41, this can be found at 52.3 latitude and 17.2 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is just a giant flat area, so if you are a bigger tribe looking just to kind of take a lot of room, this is a pretty decent spot. It's super flat and spans a good amount of room, so if you're looking to build a lot of stuff or store a lot of dinos, this is the spot for you. Coming at number 40, this can be found at 16.2 latitude and 34.7 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is like a little cave area that's kind of hidden away. It's got two different entrances and a decent amount of room. Overall, it's not a bad area, but you know, it's nothing too crazy when you put it next to some of these other spots. Coming at number 39, this can be found at 29.0 latitude and 28.9 longitude. Then there it is on the map. This is just more of like a giant flat area for a really big tribe to fit. It's nothing too crazy, but you're in a decent spot as you're pretty central to everything. But yeah, if you're looking for a really flat area, this is the one for you. Coming at number 38, this can be found at 57.7 latitude and 30.1 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is more of like a PvE aesthetic kind of area. It's got a little bridge and like a little abandoned with some like ruins in it. I don't really know what it is. And it's also built on this nice little hill. So yeah, it does make for a pretty cool spot. Coming at number 37, this can be found at 28.7 latitude and 38.5 longitude. And this is just a nice little island area with two little, I guess, flat little areas with a bridge in the middle. It's kind of a cool little spot. You can't build anything too crazy on it, but if you're looking for a small little island to build on, this is a pretty good one. Coming at number 36, this can be found at 60.8 latitude and 37.5 longitude. This is more of like a bigger styled island with a lot of flat room on this little kind of ledge area on the side. So if you're looking for a big island to store a ton of stuff on, this is actually one of the better ones on this map. Coming at number 35, this can be found at 58.5 latitude and 26.6 longitude. This is more of like an abandoned kind of like ruins village little kind of area. It's pretty cool. So I mean, if you fix it up, you can actually build in some of these. So it would make for kind of a pretty cool base spot. Coming at number 34, this can be found at 10.5 latitude and 11.9 longitude. And then there it is on the map. Anyways, this can be found right over here on pretty close to that top of the mountain area. Just a nice little flat area, as well as you have a nice little lake right next to you and a pathway that leads all the way down, making for actually a pretty good spot. Coming at number 33, this can be found at 17.6 latitude and 28.4 longitude. This is very, very similar to that other one with the kind of like overhang style, except this one is a little bit bigger and has a lot more room and is in a better centrally located area. It also has a lot more metal and stuff on top for you to harvest. Coming at number 32, this can be found at 79.5 latitude and 30.0 longitude. If you're looking for a nice little island, this is a good one for you. You have this top like central area just where you can put your big main base, and then have a bunch of like small little areas down in here, which is a bunch of just custom stuff. It does make for a pretty cool little island that has a good amount of room to work with. Coming at number 31, this can be found at 32.3 latitude and 19.0 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this can be found pretty close to the obelisk over here, and this is more of just like a flat area that's super high up, and it just has a lot of very unique looking areas. It's a pretty cool base spot. If you're looking for something that's really central to it, the obelisk and super close to it, that's a good spot for you. Coming at number 30, this can be found at 32.9 latitude and 5.4 longitude. Now this is a pretty cool one. It's like a Colosseum styled area, so I mean, it's gonna be a little trickier to build a basin, but if you can build something on this, it would make for a pretty cool area. Coming at number 29, this can be found at 78.3 latitude and 16.1 longitude. This is an underwater spot, and this is probably by far the biggest underwater base location. As you can see, just tons of room in here, but you do have 3 entrances, so I mean, it's up to you what you want to do with this spot, but if I wanted to build underwater and you have a lot of resources to waste, this is a good spot for you. Coming at number 28, this can be found at 72.2 latitude and 2.0 longitude. Now this is another island. It's like a medium-sized island with a good amount of flat room. So if you're looking for an island that's really, really far from everything, and you don't want anybody even like messing with you, I would highly recommend living here. Coming at number 27, this can be found at 66.0 latitude and 13.0 longitude. This can be found over here underwater, and this is a pretty big underwater area. It has 2 entrances, but a ton of room in here. So again, if you're looking for a nice good spot with a lot of room to live underwater, this is definitely a good spot. Coming at number 26, this can be found at 18.4 latitude and 5.8 longitude. Now this has a good amount of area and has 2 main bridges that kind of like lead over here. So it does make for kind of a cool base area. It's super flat as long as you get rid of all the trees and rocks. But yeah, it does make for a pretty amazing spot. Coming at number 25, this can be found at 25.4 latitude and 6.4 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is another one of the like ruin styled buildings. It's basically just a little area that's like a... I can't think of the name of this thing, but yeah, you get what I mean. It's a nice little area, and you are able to actually build in here as well, making for a pretty good spot. Coming at number 24, this can be found at 27.1 latitude and 54.8 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this is a pretty big area. It's just super flat again. It's got a lot of room. Got a little statue in front of it too, as well as a nice little pathway going down. It's in a pretty central area, and it is actually a pretty cool looking base spot. Coming at number 23, this can be found at 42.5 latitude and 24.7 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this is again another pretty cool spot. It was similar to that last one, but it's got a little bit more. Like it's got more platform around it to build on, as well as a nice little pathway leading down, making for a pretty good spot as well. Coming at number 22, this can be found at 9.9 latitude and 26.7 longitude. This is one of the biggest areas for just flat land, so if you're looking for a ton of room to work with, go to these coordinates and you'll see what I mean. It's basically this entire platform right here, as well as it goes on the right and even on the left. It's a pretty insane amount of room, so if you are a big tribe looking to store a ton of stuff, this is definitely a good spot for you. Coming at number 21, this can be found at 77.0 latitude and 15.5 longitude. This is another underwater spot, and this is another one of the clams. Now this is a really flat area, so if you're looking for a nice flat underwater base spot, this is a pretty good one. It still has a lot of room. I mean, considering the size of that foundation right there, you shouldn't really run out of room in here. Coming at number 20, this can be found at 56.4 latitude and 26.3 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is another cave, and this cave is actually a pretty decent one. It's got a good amount of room in here, and just this little crystal thingy in the middle does kind of take away from your area. But overall, even with that, you still have a good amount of room in here. Only downside is that it has two different entrances. Coming at number 19, this can be found at 7.0 latitude and 26.4 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is another really flat area, so if you're looking to build in a big area, it's actually on the left is where that first area was. This is basically like the opposite side of it, but it's another really big flat area. Coming at number 18, this can be found at 29.9 latitude and 9.4 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this is one of the bigger caves, and this is more of like a PvP aesthetic kind of cave. So here's your first room, you know, nothing too crazy. But back here it opens up into a pretty massive cave. Only downside is that you're going to have to build on like cliff platforms and stuff in this cave. Then you do have to deal with some cave minotaurs as well as a little artifact. Still does make for a pretty decent spot though. Coming at number 17, this can be found at 46.5 latitude and 9.9 longitude. Now this spot is a really aesthetically pleasing area with a ton of waterfalls and a lot of just pink blossom trees. Only downside is that there's not too much room to really build here, but there still is some room. So if you take care of a lot of the trees in here, it still does make for a kind of decent base spot. Coming at number 16, this can be found at 8.9 latitude and 22.3 longitude. Now this is another really good flat area. It's a little bit higher up and has two different entrances to get up here, making for a pretty decent base spot. It's really centralized to a lot of things like metal, crystal, and just a ton of wood, making for a pretty good base spot. Coming at number 15, this can be found at 14.0 latitude and 23.3 longitude. Now this is another really high up cliff area. It's super flat, it's got some crystal, wood, just tons of stone on it. But if you take all of that out of here, you're left with this huge, massive platform. It's got a couple bridges that kind of lead to some other areas, as well as just a nice, honestly a nice good amount of making for a pretty good base spot. Coming at number 14, this can be found at 15.7 latitude and 5.2 longitude. Now this can be found over here, like on this little side of the map. It's pretty close to the barrier. But anyways, this is a phenomenal spot. It's hard to see with all the trees, but it has a little lake and a ton of flat room. If you're looking for a super high up area that's just really good for PvE, this is definitely the spot for you. Coming at number 13, this can be found at 30.7 latitude and 47.2 longitude. Now this is known as like Pirates Cove is what I usually just call it. It's a nice little area up here that's more kind of like elevated. Not too much room up here, but it's just the aesthetic side of this thing that really makes this a pretty phenomenal spot with just wrecked pirate ships and just a really high up base spot. Coming at number 12, this can be found at 34.4 latitude and 31.0 longitude. Now this is a pretty good spot that's more kind of centralized. It has a ton of flat room right here, and it's located pretty much right on the water, so you have a nice little beach area as well, making for a pretty good spot. Coming at number 11, this can be found at 13.5 latitude and 1.7 longitude. Now this is a pretty high up area on the side of the map. It has a nice little single bridge that leads straight to it, so it is a pretty cool base spot, but it's nothing too crazy. It could be a little bit flatter, but other than that, pretty good spot. Coming at number 10, this can be found at 62.3 latitude and 23.5 longitude. And now we're finally getting into the really good base spots. This is a beach area. It's more of like kind of like a war zone. It's like an abandoned war area with just some tents, spikes, some ships in the water. So it's really up to you what you want to do with this, but I personally love this area. Coming at number 9, this can be found at 23.0 latitude and 41.2 longitude, and this is one of the caves. Now this cave has a lot of room in it. It's very aesthetically pleasing, as well as just having a lot of flat room. Now it does have two entrances, which is another bit of a downside, but PVE actually it kind of does help you out a little bit. So yeah, pretty good spot. Coming at number 8, this can be found at 4.4 latitude and 16.6 longitude. This is another cave which actually has 3 entrances, which is pretty crazy. There's your first entrance, a ton of flat room in here. There's your second entrance right over there. And then it also has a water entrance, which does make this thing pretty cool. There's your other entrance. Then your water entrance is in the middle, making for a very unique cave. I've never really seen any caves built like this before. So yeah, it's really up to you what you want to do with this. Coming at number 7, this can be found at 53.9 latitude and 22.4 longitude. Now this is a nice little Greek area with like a nice little Greek village, and yes, you can actually build in every single one of these. So these all kind of act as foundations, meaning that you can place like smithies down, indie forges down, all that kind of good stuff. This one is definitely one of the best spots on this list. Coming at number 6, this can be found at 62.9 latitude and 43.4 longitude. This is another underwater area, and this one is absolutely massive. Has a pretty big entrance and a lot of flat land as well. Also has some nice little ruins in the middle. Now this does work as a pretty nice base. Just, I know building underwater sometimes can be hard. This one is definitely worth it though. Coming at number 5, this can be found at 31.2 latitude and 43.9 longitude. Now this is a really big ruins area with its very own Sparta pit, which is right there in the middle. Pretty crazy. Anyways, it spans this entire thing with a just ton of room to build. You got a nice little bridge entrance as well as a just entrance on the side of the cliff. This makes for one of the best spots on this map. Coming at number 4, this can be found at 18.8 latitude and 35.6 longitude. Now this is like some abandoned stone ruin kind of area. It's like a carve area for like carving stones or something. It does make for a pretty good base spot and a really good PvP base location. PVE base location, my bad, said that wrong again. But yeah, as you can see, there's a ton of area to work with and you have your own very like fence that actually surrounds it too. Coming at number 3, this can be found at 24.2 latitude and 40.3 longitude. Now this is another really cool area. It has its own statue as well as just a really cool layout for a base. There's tons of room to work with, and as a PvE base, this is a phenomenal location. Coming at number 2, this can be found at 34.0 latitude and 18.0 longitude. This is another one that's pretty similar to the last one, just not as big. So as you can see here, you have this cool area with some nice statues again, but it's just lacking a little bit of area. But it does have another kind of like side area with a little pond as well as like a little area up there. But yeah, pretty good spot. Coming at number 1, this can be found at 8.4 latitude and 15.0 longitude. This is one of the best spots on this map. It's absolutely massive. It's like a completely different style compared to every other build on here. It's like a gold palace on the side of this just massive cliff. It has a ton of room to work with, a cool bridge that leads up to it, making for the best spot on this map. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and thanks for watching.